Record.
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ So we had seen up to mantra 4 and now we are going to see uh, the mantra after that. So let me see, I'm going to record through mobile, so hopefully I'm able to figure out this thing.
Recording.
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Okay, so we are going to resume reviewing our Upanishad from Ganga Kinara. Let me open the document. So we have to continue from fifth mantra. So just bear with me. I am recording from mobile, so I have to get used to it. Okay, I have to go to the last page. Give me a second. Okay. So I would like to do the recording of the mantra fifth again. Are you satisfied? So I'm just going to do it again. Nothing changes, it's just for my satisfaction, but I'm doing it again. So the last mantra that we reviewed was fourth mantra, and so third mantra was Nayam Atma Pravachanena Lapyah न मेधया न बहुना श्रुतेन यमेव एषः वृणुते. When the sadhak makes this commitment in life, then that commitment becomes the one that the factor, the primary factor, when all the Shravanam, Mananam, Medha, Pravachana, all this will become helpful means. So the commitment is the most important thing. And then when you have that commitment, tasya esha atma vivrunate tanum swam, then this atma reveals itself, because atma is a fact. It is even now when we think that we do not know this atma, it is my very swarupa. So when that commitment, when that interest is there, then we will just go for whatever is needed to shed off all those motions that the Shastra is telling us that is not your real Swarupa. When Atma Anatma Viveka Shastra does through different prakriyas, then we would walk with the Shastra. Because we have that commitment. We are truly interested in the destination, and so it's not going to be, we are not going to take anything for granted, for granted. Any Shravanam we do, we will try to apply it in our life. So, having this commitment is very important. Then we also saw the fourth mantra last time. Nayam atma balaheenena labhyah nacha pramada nacha apramadah अप्रमादात् तपसः वा अपि हलिङ्गात् एतैः उपायैः यतते यस्तु विद्वान् तश्चैष आत्मा विशते ब्रह्मधाम. So this atma is not to be gained by the one who does not have the strength, the bala. Which bala is being talked about? That internal strength of conviction that yes, what the Shastra says is right, and there is such a thing called Brahman, there is such a thing called limitless, there is such a thing called eternal happiness, and Shastra is telling that that is your Swarupa. That conviction, only when you have that conviction, only when you have that Shraddha first of all, and that Shraddha leads us to the conviction that what the Shastra is telling is right, then by that kind of bala, sorry, I'm trying to figure out where the mantra is here. By that kind of bala and apramadat, by that alertness in life, that Atma cannot be known when there is no conviction. Atma cannot be known when there is pramada, when we are not alert towards how this Atma and Atma Viveka or Aviveka is going on in our life, and tapas, when there is no tapas in our life, that we are not able to bear any inconveniences in our life, then by that kind of personality, by that kind of unprepared mind, Atma cannot be gained. So Atma, for the preparation of mind requires all this. And furthermore, we last time saw that it also says Lingat. Lingat here is sannyasa, renunciation. And we need not have fascination for external sannyasa, but even that, even the sannyasa we are interested is in change in the attitude of mind, that instead of depending on external means to give happiness, let me change the attitude that I need not be a grabber in life, but how can I be the contributor? How can I be a contributor? So renunciation, not depending on external things for my satisfaction, for my happiness. This is the change that we can bring about. So till this we saw, and so now I would like to continue further from fifth mantra, and as we saw last time, which I'm just going to revisit everything, that the next mantra is talking about Jivan Mukti. So what is the phala of this Gnanam? That okay, yes, you understood this, and then what happens? Yes, you you're committed to all these other means, the bala and apramatta, and you are adopting this in your life. But then, what is the result of the knowledge? So then the next mantra is saying, samprapyena mrishyo gnanatruptaha krutatmano vitaraga prashantaha te sarvatam sarvatah prapyadiraha yuktatmanas sarvameva vishanti. Samprapya enam ऋषयः ज्ञानतृप्ताः कृत आत्मानः वीतरागः ragaha prashantaha. So vitaragaha prashantaha krutatmanah gnanatruptaha, all these are adjectives of rushayah. These rushayah who are gnanatruptaha, who are krutatmanah, who are vitaragaha, who are prashantaha, enam samprapya, they very well attain this. What is that enam? We will talk about it, but ते सर्वगं सर्वतः प्राप्य धीराः युक्त आत्मनः सर्वम् एव आविशन्ति. So when this Atma, Enam is when this Atma or Brahman, which has been talked about so far, when this Atma or Brahman is known, when this Brahman is known as Atma, then Gnanatruptaha and Krutatmanaha is explained first. They are totally satisfied within themselves. They don't need any external means, but they are satisfied within themselves. Gnanena truptaha, by this knowledge, and Kruta Atmanaha. So those who abide in themselves and those who are totally devoid of passions. So Vita Ragaha. So Vigatena Ragaha, those who are devoid of all the passions, Prashantaha, who are totally tranquil. Samprapya, they attain this enam, they attain this all pervasive Brahman, Sarvagaha, Sarvataha, they attain this all pervasive Brahman in every way, meaning there is no separation between Brahman and them. Meaning they attain the identity between Brahman and the self in full sense, meaning they no longer have identity with the upadhi. Such dhiraha, these kind of wise people, vivekinaha, these discriminative people, yukta atmanaha, again adjective to dhiraha, who are yukta atmanaha, whose mind is composed, because of antakaran shuddhi, who are able to maintain that composure in mind, sarvam eva avishanti, they enter into that which is avishanti, they enter into what? Sarvam, they enter into that which is all. What is that? That Brahman. They become one with Brahman. So this is a description of Videha Mukti. So now further Bhashya says, Katham Brahma Vishate iti uchyate. How does this Vidwan enter Brahman or become one with Brahman? Then it is said, what is it? Samprapya of the mantra is explained as samavagamya. So meaning knowing this self very well. Enam meaning atmanam, the self. Rushayaha is explained as darshanavantaha, those who are seeing this truth. Tena eva, by them alone, and not by anybody else, only those who are seeing this truth, not who have seen, who are seeing. So it is not a knowledge which has come and gone. So when we are talking about Jivan Mukti, we are talking about Gnan, which is Gnana Nishtha. We are talking about abiding knowledge. So tena, these kind of darshanavantaha, so those who are seeing this vision, by them, tena eva, meaning by them, gnanena truptaha, those who are satisfied by knowledge, meaning na bhakyena trupti sadhanena, those who are satisfied by knowledge and not by any other means external to them. Sharira upachaya karanena. For example, you may adopt means for the satisfaction or for relieving your needs of the body, and then when you get those means, then you may feel satisfied. So that is what bahyena trupti sadhanena. Not like that, but like atmaratihi, atmakridaha, like that they are truptaha jnanenaha. They are satisfied by this knowledge of the self. Uh, So, yeah, by the very knowledge they are fulfilled. That knowledge itself is the fulfillment and not a particular vyavahara, not a particular interaction, not by any external means for fulfillment, which is the cause for nourishing the body. Further, it is said, Krutatmanaha, meaning Paramatma Swarupena eva Nishpanna Atmanaha Santaha, being the one who are uh, abiding in the self by knowing that the self is of the nature of the absolute truth. So let us see how I have translated. Those who have known Atma as Paramatma, Paramatma Swarupena, those who have known Atma as Paramatma, meaning which is free of limitations, free from limitations, those who abide in the very self which is limitless, Nishpanna Atmanaha, those who are abiding in this kind of self of the nature of Paramatma, meaning free from limitations. What about that? So, okay, so this is just reviewing the meaning of Krutatmanaha. Then Vitaragaha, meaning Vigata Ragaha Adi Doshaha. So, those from whom these defects of likes and dislikes, aversions, attachments, etc., are vigataha. They have gone very well once and for all. So, for whom there is no scope of attachment and aversion. Why? Because they are abiding in their self, in their nature. So, they are vitaragaha. Only a wise can be primarily vairagyavan. So vitaragaha also means what? That somebody who is going to have vairagya. And what is vairagya? We said, as in Tattva Bodha, see, having this objectivity of what a thing is, not underestimating, neither overestimating. That is how our Swamiji explains vairagya. It is not the smashan vairagya that I want to give up everything and just go. It is valuing things for what it is. So in Vyavahara, you have certain usefulness of a thing, you use it, but you do not become attached to it for your happiness. So that's clarity that usefulness does not, uh, you know, imply happiness. Like usefulness does not mean uh, the particular thing has a capacity to give you the happiness. So that clarity about what is real, what is unreal, that alone will give you that space with the objects in the world and be able to maintain the composure and not get not get very excited when you get some when your desire get fulfilled or when you get a particular thing in life, or if it doesn't, uh, you remain devoid of a thing, then you do not become sad either. Why? Because you are objective, that ultimately happiness is my swarupa. It is not a nature of a particular thing. So that is vitaragaha, having this passion. Then prashantaha, uparata indriyaha. So the mind is totally tranquil. Prashantaha means uh, when your sense organs is withdrawn from the sense objects. So mind is totally tranquil and totally happy, and therefore the sense organs are also totally tranquil. Because it is we think that it is the sense organs that goes out, but it is the mind associated with the sense organs which goes out. Only when the mind has interest, only when we have interest in something, Then through the sense organs, we, become extrovert. We try to attain a thing which is external. But when we lose that interest, then our sense organs will naturally not go towards that object. So when we say uparata indriyaha, that also means that our mind has uh, lost interest in it. Why has it lost interest in it? Vitaragaha. The first vitaragaha happens and then prashantaha. Because of vitaragaha, the mind is happy with its own self. It does not need any external means for happiness, and so the sense organs no longer need to go out. So this is how they are, these Jivan Muktas, these wise people are while they are living. So now Bhashyakara says further, what is it? Te evam bhutaha sarvagam. Te meaning what? Those who are in this manner. Then sarvagam meaning sarva vyapinam akashavat. Sarvagam meaning all pervasive. That which is all pervasive, like the space. Space is all pervasive. Why? Because it doesn't have attribute. That which does not have attribute pervades, is quite subtle and is more pervasive than that which possesses attributes. Anyways, so sarvagam meaning what? All pervasive. And what can be all pervasive? That which is devoid of attributes. This is just by the way. Bhashyakara has not given it here, but elsewhere in Kathopanishad, Bhashyakara will say what can be sukshma, what can be all pervasive, what can be great. That equation Bhashyakara will give it there, and we will see it then. But here sarvagam, sarvam gacchati iti sarvagam. That which goes everywhere is called sarvagam, which is all pervasive. That is the meaning. Sarva vyapinam, that is the meaning. Then sarvatah meaning sarvatra, which is there everywhere. Then prapya na upadi parichinnena ekadeshena. So here we are talking about not limited to an upadhi, not limited to one aspect, but sarvagam, sarvatra, it is pervading everything, it is there everywhere. So okay, so these rishis, te evam bhutaha, these rishis, these wise, attain Brahman in all aspects. What kind of Brahman? Sarvagam, which is all pervasive, sarva vyapinam, akashavat, like space. And na upadi parichinnena ekadeshena, and that Brahman which is not limited by upadi, which is not present, available only in one aspect, but the all pervasive Brahman. In this manner, one attains. Who? Rishis. The rishis attain this Brahman in this manner, meaning there is no more any identification with the upadhi. And further, kim tarhi tad brahma. Then what happens? Kim tarhi, then what happens? Then it is said, tad brahma eva advayam atmatvena pratipadya. That Brahman, which is how? Advayam, which is non-dual. In this manner, when it is pratipadya, when it is known as the very self, atmatvena, as the very self, then what happens? Dhiraha, atyanta vivekinaha. Dhiraha, the wise people who are extremely discriminative, meaning who are very discriminative, and who are yukta atmanaha, nitya samahita swabhavaha. So who are composed because their mind is always abiding in their swarupa, in knowledge, in their nature. They are always abiding in this knowledge that Atma is not different from Brahman, Brahman is not different from Atma. I am the very, Brahman is my very self. This knowledge they are abiding in Sarvam Eva Samastam Sharirapatakaale api avishanti. So they attain the total avishanti. Okay, let me take it. Samastam Sharirapatakaale. So when the Sharira drops, meaning when the body drops, meaning at the time of death, what happens? Avishanti, just bhinna agatashavat, just like the pot space enters the space, so also they enter or they identify. They identify with the samashti, they identify with the totality, they identify that there was never a separation. Uh, let's see how I have translated it. They attain the total. So, this Viveki, discriminative ones, those wise whose mind always abide in knowledge, they attain the total when the body drops off, and then they enter into Brahman, which is total. So, Sarvam here is they enter into. Okay, so Sarvam should not be the first Vibhakti here, Sarvam should be the second Vibhakti for those who know Sanskrit. Who don't know, then it is fine. But I need to correct, Sarvam should be 2-1. So they enter Sarvam. They attain the total, enter into Brahman, which is total. So this entry is only how? Figurative, since already we are Brahman. So it is only that the notion goes away, and that's all. But there is no longer the separation, apparent separation is also not there. So when Videha Mukti happens, then at least in Jivan Mukti, the person is still free, but the upadhi still remains. So from the onlooker's side, the onlooker may think that, oh, that Mahatma is going through such a pain, the onlookers may be having this feeling that, oh, even after knowledge one has to go through all these things, but he is fine. The wise person is not deviated from the jnanam that one non-duality alone is. He is not identified with the upadhi, and he understands that whatever is happening is at the level of vyavahara, is happening at the level of Ishvara Srushti. Ultimately, both Ishvara Srushti and Jiva Srushti are in the in the scheme of things of relative reality, not the absolute reality, not the Paramartha Tattvam. And this person, this wise person, is always abiding in Paramartha Tattvam. So he knows that Prarabdha Vashat, he has to go through the Prarabdha, he has to exhaust the Prarabdha, and there is no other go. But so from onlooker may be deluded that a Mahatma also has to go through grief, but the Mahatma is not disturbed. So like Ramana Maharshi also had arthritis, etc., a lot of pain, in his last time, but he was fine. His nishtha doesn't, his conviction about the truth, that doesn't get, it's not affected. He still remains abiding in the truth. Okay, so this was just by the way. So what happens during Videha Mukti? This was just talking about Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. So during Videha Mukti, this external upadhi also does not remain, and so that apparent separation also does not remain. Just like that pot space entering the big space, when the pot breaks, some kind of relationship with the upadhi which was there on account of ignorance, that also is finally given up when the body drops off. Evam Brahmavido Brahmadhama Pravishanti. In this manner, the knowers of Brahman they enter Brahman, which is abode, meaning they attain total identity with Brahman. Now the same idea continues in the subsequent mantras, that Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishritarthaha Sannyasayogātyataya Shuddha Sattvaha Te Brahmaloke tu Parantakale Te Brahmalokeshu Parantakale Paramrita Parimuchanti Sarve. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishritarthaha Sannyasa Yatayah Shuddha Sattvaha Te Brahmalokeshu Parantakale Paramritaha Parimuchanti Sarve. So Vedanta Vijnana. So this we discussed last time. Vedanta has a certain Vijnana which generates the direct knowledge of the Jiva Brahma Aikya. And those who have totally ascertained that what Vedanta has to see is nothing but Jiva Brahma Aikya, those people are called Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha. Whether aparoksha, whether directly or indirectly, even if the knowledge has happened and they still have to own it up, even those are called Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha. So those people, on account of sannyasa yogat, on account of through renunciation of everything else, sannyasa yoga means through renunciation of everything else, yatayah, these kind of yatis, these kind of mumukshus, these kind of wise people, Shuddha Sattvaha, who have attained Antakaran Shuddhi, whose mind has become pure, te Brahma Lokeshu, and we saw that Brahma eva loka, not the loka of Brahman, but for whom Brahma itself is the loka. So they have become identified with the Brahman, and so Parantakale, for them there is no Parantakale. So we talked about two. For sansaris, there is this aparantakala, and for Gnani, there is this parantakala, meaning they become free from the cycle of birth and death. So they have become pure by pursuit of knowledge and through renunciation of everything else. These wise, when the ultimate end comes, Parantakale, being identified with the Brahman, which is the very self, they become entirely free. Parantakale, they achieve Paramrutaha. How? Because they give up, they are one who have given up on everything. What is to be given up? All the identification. All the ahankara and mamakara is to be given up. So when the identity ahankara is given up, the mamakara also doesn't remain. So perhaps we can start with giving up the mamakara, then we can work towards giving up the ahankara. But actually, how are we going to give up? Excuse me. Ahankara by constantly doing by constantly doing Atma Anatma Viveka. That's what is to be done. So then when the ultimate end comes, they who are identified with the Brahman, which is the self, or they who know that Brahman is my very self, they become entirely free. Again, a description of Jivan Mukta. So Bhashya says, Kincha, okay, I should have done this long back. Okay. Now hopefully you will be able to see it better. Kincha Vedanta Janitam Vijnanam वेदान्तविज्ञानं तस्यार्थः पर आत्मा विज्ञेयः सः अर्थः सुनिश्चितः येषां ते वेदान्तविज्ञानसुनिश्चितार्थाः. So Bhashyakara is explaining the word Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitarthaha. Kincha, and moreover, Vedanta Janitam, that which is created from Vedanta, the Vijnanam, that knowledge which is generated by Vedanta, meaning by the Vakyas of Vedanta, by the Mahavakyas of Vedanta, by the Vakyas of Vedanta, Vedanta, that is called Vedanta Vijnana. Tasya artha, of that, the meaning para atma vigneya is the param atma, the supreme self which is to be known. Saha artha, that meaning is ascertained by whom is called sunishchitah. Those who have ascertained sunishchitah, or the conviction that this is the meaning of the supreme self is, or Brahman or limitless is the which is to be known, is what is expounded by Vedanta Vakya. This is what the conviction has to be. And Yeshamte, those people who have this conviction are called Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha. So let me just read the translation. By the teaching of Mahavakya, that knowledge which is generated is called Vedanta Vijnana, which is the purport of Vedanta, which is what? Paramatma. Atma, which is non-different from Param, which is not different from the limitless. That is the purport of the Vedanta. So knowledge alone counts and nothing else, and knowledge of Paramatma alone counts. This is Swamiji's contribution. So those who abide in this knowledge that I am Brahman are called here Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha. So then we'll go further. Okay, that's right. So then, te cha sannyasa yogat sarva karma parityaga lakshana yogat kevala brahmanishtha swarupat yogat yatayah yattana shilaha shuddha sattvaha shuddham sattvam yesham sannyasa yogat te shuddha sattvaha te cha, and they who are sannyasa yoga on account of sannyasa, meaning sarva karma parityaga, whose characteristic is of giving up of all kind of karma, all kind of duties, that is called sannyasa yoga here. And who are what? Giving up the duties and keval brahmanishta swarupa, and who are abiding only in the true nature of oneself, that I am Brahman. So that by this kind of yoga, both giving up everything else, giving up all the other pursuits, and constantly kevala brahmanishta swarupa, constantly abiding in one's swarupa, that I am Brahman. These kind of yatayah, these kind of yatanashilaha, those who are constantly striving to abide in this knowledge, shuddha sattvaha, shuddham sattvam yesham te, those who are possessing this kind of purification of mind. Why? How? On account of sannyasa yoga. And we can take sannyasa yoga as all the values, all the karma yoga, So on account of such implementation of life, of following the life of values and following karma yoga, those who have lived such a life of renunciation, whose chitta has become shuddha on account of that, these kind of qualified seekers, Oh, okay. What happened? Sorry. Sorry, give me a second. Okay. Then, yeah. So the translation is sannyasa is interpreted as renunciation of all the actions, meaning characterized by only abidance in Brahman and commitment to inquiry to Brahman, or commitment to inquiry to of Brahman. And karma is given up to pursue something higher. So those who are striving for this, withdrawing from other activities, other things, and committing to this one goal in life, uh, and on account of which whose mind is purified, whose mind is no longer distorted, who are able to see the reality, who are able to see the three sattas very clearly, the satya, mithya, and vyavaharik or paramarthik are very clear to them, to whom by constant inquiry they are able to give up all kind of likes and dislikes and the associated impurities. And finally by knowledge sorry and finally by knowledge the subtlest of impurities are also given up. So these kind of people are being talked about. They Swamiji mentioned that sannyasa doesn't bless by itself unless one has discovered the devotion to superior, the commitment. So merely sannyasa is not going to help, but one should be very clear on the commitment of our life, that what are we seeking, and only then, because we are giving up uh, the joys, we are giving up the enjoyment, the means of enjoyment which so far had been giving us happiness, and now we are pursuing that one thing, that self alone, which maybe still we haven't attained it, or still we haven't recognized very intimately. And so that commitment is very much needed, that even though I feel that I'm not experiencing it, just believe in the words of the Shastra and just go for it, and not hang on to that lower means of happiness for which we have been hanging on to, which we have been holding on to for so many births. ते ब्रह्मलोकेषु संसारिणां ये मरणकालाः ते अपरान्तकालाः तान् अपेक्ष्य मुमुक्षूणां संसार अवसाने देहपरित्यागकालः परान्तकालः तस्मिन् परान्तकाले. So te brahma lokeshu. So it is said how for samsarinam, what is the marana kala aparant? How is the marana kala? At the time of death, they are going to go with some desire, and so they will be born again with some embodiment. So their end is not once and for all. It is temporary. They are going to come back. So tan apeksha, in comparison to these kind of more samsaris who come back in the life cycle of birth and death, mumukshunam, compared to them, these mumukshus, samsara avasane, at the culmination of samsara avasane, deha parityaga kalah paranta kalah tasmin paranta kalehe. They do not have to come back when the body drops, and for them the samsara, the life cycle of the cycle of life and birth and death, it comes to an end, and so for them this gear dropping of the body is parantakalah. It is once and for all. Tasmin parantakale kale. And sadhakanam, okay, let us look at this first. So what happens to them? Paranta kale, those who are samsari, those who are not fulfilled and entertain the jiva bhava, for them the death of the body is not the supreme end. It will give rise to another beginning. So it is a temporary cessation. But with reference to them, those who are desirous of only moksha and they do not want the limited existence, those who are already mukta, those who are free, when there is death of their body, meaning they are free, those who are jivan mukta. The jivan mukta alone is going to become a videha mukta. Those who has not become a jivan mukta, those who has not recognized one's freedom while living, there is no way that that person is going to be a videha muktaha. That has been said, that only those who are desirous of only moksha, those who are already mukta, when there is death of the body or when the prarabdha gets exhausted, then it becomes the ultimate end, a total cessation with no potential of another birth. And it is an end once and for all. Therefore, it is called Parantakala. Sadhakanam bahutvad brahma eva lokah. Grammar, okay? Don't worry about it. So because there are many sadhakas, therefore the brahma lokah is said brahma lokeshu. Not that there are many brahma lokas. There is only one thing. There is only one without the second. There is the question of many. But in terms of many seekers, this bahuvachanam, this plural, is being mentioned. Sadhakanam bahutvat brahma eva lokah, brahma lokah ekah api. So brahma lokah is not brahmanah lokah, it is brahma eva lokah. Brahma alone is loka, for whom is brahma lokah. So that Brahman is one alone. Ekah api anekavad drishyate. Even though it is one, it is seen here as many, prapyate cha, because with reference to many seekers. So Brahma itself is loka, field of experience, and even though Brahman is one alone, but it is taken as various, it is taken variously because the seekers are many, so they interpret it as many and they take it differently as per their concepts. So even though it is one, it is seen and attained in various ways. In that context, it is called Brahma Lokeshu, even though it should be Ekvachanam. It should be Brahma Loke, it should be Brahma Loke technically, grammatically, but it is called Brahma Lokeshu. Atah bahuvachanam Brahma Lokeshu iti Brahmani ityartha. So therefore this plural is used for Brahma Lokaha. Okay, then what? Paramrutaha param amrutam amaranadharmakam brahma atmabhutam yesham te paramrutaha jivantah eva brahmabhutaha paramrutaha santah parimuchyanti. Okay, let us see till here. So paramrutaha, which is param as well as amrutam, amarana dharmakam, which is of the nature of being immortal, such a Brahman, atmabhutam yesham te, such a Brahman, those who have seen it or known as the very self, yesham te, those people are known as paramrutaha, meaning jivantah eva brahmabhutaha. Even while living, they see themselves as in the form of Brahman, paramrutaha santah. So those who are abiding in this truth. So Brahman, which has characteristics of absolute immortality or deathlessness, such a Brahman has become Atma, for whom they are called Paramrutaha. Those who abide in this knowledge of Brahman as Atma are called Paramrutaha. They have become one with Brahman while alive. And this is how Jivan Mukti is there for them. Parimuchyanti, parisamantat, giving up from all the sides, on account of giving up on all the sides. How? Pradeepa nirvanavat, just like Pradeepa means light, destroys, all the uh, darkness, the fire. Okay, wait a minute. This is Pradeepa Nirvanavat. So, Nirvana is extinguishing. Just as like the extinguishing of the flame of a lamp, the fire is thought to be liberated. When the fire is extinguished, the fire is thought to be liberated, or as if merging into the total element fire. Or Bhinna Ghatakashavat, just as when the pot space is cha nivrittim upayanti parimuchyanti. When the pot space, when the pot breaks, then the pot space is thought to be merging into the space, supreme space, or the space, Mahakasha, attaining oneness with the space. In that way, parimuchyanti. So, like the extinguishing of flame of a lamp, the fire is thought to be liberated and as if merging into the total element fire. And so the Vishesha, the particular, merges into the Samanya, the common element, the Samanya. The identity is first given up in thought, and then, so this is not the Bhashya translation, it is just what Swamiji has supplied for our understanding, that the identity is first given up in the thought and then you actually give it up physically. So the wise attains total freedom in this manner, not that they have to go somewhere in time and space. They are released here itself. So there is no Krama Mukti for them. They become free here itself. Krama Mukti meaning it is not that they have to go in some Vaikuntha etc. and there in Vaikuntha then Brahmaji or whoever the Ishtadevata will teach something and then they will become Mukta. No, they become Mukta here itself. So basically the Jiva Bhava does not remain at all. Shakuni, oh, where is it gone? Give me a minute. Okay, almost there. So further, Shakuni nama eva akashe jale vari charasya va padam yatha na drishyate tata gnanavatam gatihi. So just as the Shakuni, the bird, when the birds fly, they do not leave any residue, they do not leave any footprints. And so also the aquatic animals, the fish, etc., when they swim in water, they do not leave any residue behind them. We do not find any footprints, and so also when this Jivan Mukta leaves this body, we do not find any. When the Jivan Mukta goes through the Videha Mukti, we do not find any footprints. So when the wise leaves, there is no gati. From Jivan Mukti to Videha Mukti, there is no gati. So Swamiji explains how any achievement is always subject to change. No achievement is final. Any gati is limited in space and time and is subject to any gati is limited in space and time and is subject to samsara. And is subject to samsara alone, subject to change. Being limited as it is of the nature of means. So what is this limitation we are talking about? This nature of means and end, sadhak, sadhya, sadhana. This the separation is what we are is the gati that we are being talking about. That you always find that we are trying to attain something. Something is a destination and we have to reach there. So this kind of feeling of I'm always seeking something, that is samsara, and that is the gati we are talking about. This jnani does not have to attain this kind of gati. Why? 10th man, recognizing himself as 10th man. There is no gati. The only separation was ignorance. So, अनध्वगा अध्वसु पारयिष्यणवः इति श्रुतिस्मृतिभ्यां देशपरिच्छिन्ना हि गतिः. So there is no gati in the sense of limited to space or time, which is samsara vishaya, which is in the realm of samsara, which is in the realm of coming and going, which is subject to samsara. So such a parichinna sadhana sadhyatvat, this kind of limited means and end, this kind of gati is not involved for this videha mukta. Why? Because any effort is always going to be limited, and so this person has known himself as limitless, and for him there is no such gati. So those who are desirous of end to samsara gati, they become free from samsara, by the way. Right? Becoming free from any coming and going. Okay, the next page. Brahma tu samastatvat na desha parichedena gantavyam. Brahma being limitless, Brahman being all inclusive, so there is no gati involved here, no gati that can be achieved. It is already achieved, it is already included, and there is no limitation of space and time. So there is no contention of going anywhere. Therefore, it is not to be achieved by going anywhere, as it is already there. It is an obtaining fact, and Brahman cannot be confined to a particular place. Where the concept of space also resolved, that is Brahman. All gati are within space and time, and there is something beyond space and time, and so cannot be achieved through space and time. It is the very content, it is the illuminator of space and time. यदि हि देशपरिच्छिन्नं ब्रह्म स्यात् मूर्तद्रव्यवत् आदि अन्तवत् अन्य आश्रितं सावयवम् अनित्यं कृतकं च स्यात्. So now the tarka is applied. What is the tarka applied? That if moksha also was an accomplished fact, moksha is an accomplished fact. How? Here and now. How? Because it is Brahma eva loka and it is not the loka of Brahman. If Brahma was confined to a particular place, yadi hi desha parichinnam Brahma syat, if Brahman was confined to desha parichinnam, was to a particular place, then murta dravyatvat, then it would have a form. Murta means form. Then it would have a form. How? Dravyavat, like any material has a form, and so then Brahman would also have a form. If it was so, then what would happen? Adi antavat, then it would be something that would be, that would come into being in some like it would have a beginning and antavat, and it would have an end, and anya ashritam, because it would have a beginning and it would have an end, or at least because it would have a beginning, that means it would depend on something for its being, meaning it would have a cause. So then it would depend on something else, and whatever depends on something else is generally sa avayava, is made up of attributes, it's made up of avayava, made up of components, and whatever is made of components is anityam, is not permanent in time, and whatever is not permanent, whatever is impermanent, is whatever is created, whatever is impermanent is krutakam, is created. So in this way, you would end up with what? Brahman as not being limitless. Brahman would become limited. Brahman would become perishable. So all of these dosha will come, which will go opposed to what Shastra and how Shastra presents. So Nyaya or Tarka is presented here, and what is said? If Brahman was confined to a particular place, it would have a form having certain characteristics, in which case it would have a beginning and an end. And any substance created must have a beginning and an end. And also, a form is always an effect and always dependent upon something else. So, it would not be self supporting, meaning it would have a cause. So, and also it would have different parts because something created. So, if something created it, then to create it, it would need something, from which, some material from which the Brahman would be created. So, different parts would be needed, and therefore it would be impermanent, it would be created. It would be something that is created, meaning something which is in the realm of time. Therefore, it would be anityam, impermanent, and then it would have to be achieved. But what you achieve is not forever. At some point, it goes away. So, Brahman cannot be like this, and therefore, this is the tarka. Okay, this is the rationale given. So, this is how we can do our mananam, that whenever we think we are limited, we we walk the rationale given by the Shruti, that why can we not be limited. So this is the mota. If 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 we take ourselves to be limited, then what Shruti is telling would become incorrect. Then Brahman would become Muta Dravyat Adiyantavat Anyashritam Savayavam Anityam Krutakam, and that goes opposed to Shruti. And what is Shruti? Shruti is the Pramana, meaning what? Like the eyes. If my eyes is seeing green color of the tree, then it is green. Just because I hear that the tree is of purple color doesn't mean that I'm going to give up what my eyes are seeing. And so also the Shastra is saying that Brahman is limitless. It is my Swarupa. So that is how this is how I do the Vichara. Okay, again. So bear with me. Okay, so the last sentence. Natu evam vidam Brahma bhavitum arhati. However, Brahman cannot be so. Atah tat praptihi cha na eva desha parichinna bhavitum yukta. Therefore, attainment of Brahman cannot be in this manner of how we have been attaining other things in life in space and time. We have been attaining all other things in life as which is limited or circumscribed by space and time. We attain, we go to Delhi, we go by train, etc., etc. So this kind of attaining is not there because Brahman cannot be so. So just by the way, moksha can be better understood when bondage is understood. That is also a notion. Bondage is also a notion because avidya, kama, karma itself is bondage, and none of these are substances. These are all notional. Therefore, samsara bandha is merely a notion. Therefore, elimination of bondage can only be by, by knowledge and not by action. And so, that has to be nitya prapti. It has to be self alone. It is praptasya prapti. It is attainment of already attained. It is not something to be created. Okay, so then Upanishad concludes and talks of Videha Mukti, which we will see next time. Okay, so I'll do another recording of the rest of the mantras. So we will look from mantra 7. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.